Uh, I was really sick last weekend. I don't know how I even lectured yesterday. I'm doing a little bit better today. In my international finance class, I was doing a worksheet for them to calculate probably that Fed is going to move in a certain meeting. I could not make a simple expected value calculation. I mean, stuff I could do in my sleep. So I postponed the exam to next Thursday, 20th. It's also kind of good since cumulative finals after the Thanksgiving, so it'll be fresh in your minds. Pending my health, I'm hoping I'll be fine. I'm basically staying up with steroids and stuff. I'll do a review session this Friday at 5 and another one next Tuesday at 4. It will be on Zoom. You can come in anytime you like. If you can't make it, I'll record those and post them as videos. Uh, this week and next Tuesday, we're going to cover chapter 13. It will not be part of the cumulative final, but information in this chapter is going to help you with your cost of capital estimation project. Basically, I'll give you guys one firm, and you're going to make an estimation of their cost of capital. Now, what do we mean by cost of capital? As you may remember, during chapter 5, we talked about uh, investment evaluation criteria, things like MPV, IRR, and that sort of stuff. And we took two things as given, uh, two types of things as given. One of them was what are the cash flows from this project? And we handled that issue in chapter 7, I think. Yeah. And the second one, what was the discount rate? That discount rate is the cost of capital, and we're going to address that issue in this chapter. We kind of handled some of it in chapter 11, estimating the required rate of return on a stock. This is basically the required rate of return for the firm's assets, which, or you can think of as capital. Don't think of capital as your own money. It's not only your own money, but also the money that you borrow that are used to finance a given uh, investment project. For any given project, we will take a two-part approach. First, we will estimate the so-called weighted average cost of capital, and we're going to abbreviate that to WACC to represent the required rate of return for projects that have the same risk as the current business of the firm. Then, if necessary, we will make adjustments to this WACC to allow for projects that are riskier or less risky than the current business of the firm. For example, I just read today that Google is rolling out a new kind of AI chip, okay? Which means that essentially putting pieces in place to compete against NVIDIA's AI chips. So if I'm evaluating this project to see whether or not it's profitable for the company, I cannot use a required rate of return for Google's existing business. What's the crux of Google's existing business? Well, they sell ads on all this Google searches, YouTube, obviously, not only direct revenues from memberships, but ads on videos. They have, data services and that sort of stuff. Suddenly, you're going into the AI business. I mean, in the business of all those, Google has a pretty big competitive advantage. I mean, especially in the search and YouTube business, they're essentially a monopoly. They can pretty much dictate ad prices to anybody they want. But now they're into a different business. So if I'm evaluating this AI chip project of Google, it would not be a good idea to use Google's weighted average cost of capital, which represents the proper discount rate for whatever Google is doing outside of this project. So I should be making some sort of correction. We're not going to handle that today. Today, we're going to basically develop the concept of weighted average cost of capital, different ways of estimating it. We'll solve a few problems about it. And this Thursday, we're going to extend on that. And next Tuesday, we're going to basically talk about different adjustments. That's very important because certain firms, to make things easy to administer, say, for any projects we have, we're going to use firms' hurdle rate, which is this weighted average cost of capital. But unfortunately, this creates two effects. One, think of this Google's AI project. Let's assume that the riskiness of this project is the same as NVIDIA's business. Since NVIDIA is in that business, we're going to make certain calculations. Google and NVIDIA are effectively almost 100% equity financed. So on chapter 11, we kind of figured out that the required rate of return for NVIDIA's stock is about 15% these days, but for Google is around 10, right? So if I use 10% versus the proper rate that I should use, 15, I am a lot more likely to accept Google's AI project, right? Which means I'm taking risks that do not necessarily give me a positive NPV. And let's do. In the meantime, I had some people who came later. Steve, hard Steve. Okay. Two more people I think came. Cassidy, okay. I think I saw one more person come later, but no. I mean, let's think about an example. Suppose you have a project that you think is going to make you money over 10 years, $1, 10%. Present value of those cash flows at 10% is 615. On the other hand, at 15%, that's only $5, which means whatever the MPV is, you're effectively overestimating it by about 22%. So if